very heavy. Goodness. Heavy. Yeah, they don't need that anymore. They're good to go. Heavy. Heavy, real heavy, goodness. They're heavy. They don't need that. Heavy. They could probably use some food. Heavy. They're a medium heavy. They're light. Need food. They're plenty heavy. All right, just the nukes. Hey guys, Nathan, Duck River Honey. You can see that I'm trying to get some hives ready for winter. I don't get in hives a lot this time of year unless I think there's a reason, and that reason's either they've got a poor population. Sunny days like this, it's about 70, 72 degrees Fahrenheit right now, and all of the hives have got bees flying, even though there's not a lot out there for them to work. You know, we've had some killing frosts already. So about the only thing I think that they're working is either a little bit of leftover goldenrod or maybe some old field aster. But there's flight, and flight is a good indicator of hive health. You don't have to get in the into the hive to tell if it's got good numbers at the entrance. So you can see this hive has got a good population. They've still got some syrup in here from last week, so they don't need anything from me right now. So you could probably see from the beginning of the video that I did a oxalic acid vaporization treatment on my hives and used sticky boards underneath the hives. I actually just stuck a piece of white printer paper under them and got an idea of the 24-hour mite drop. And that gave me an idea of, are there very few mites? Are there some hives with a lot of mites? I didn't find any mite bombs, which would be a hive that went out and robbed out a failing hive and brought hundreds or thousands of mites home. I didn't find any of those, which was good. I did find that the hives I'd marked in late summer as having higher mite loads, they still had higher mite loads, but I don't think they're alarmingly high. So the way that I'm handling that is marking those hives with a red push pin. In the middle box on the back on the left-hand side, I'm looking at mites, attitude, behavior, and then honey production. So using red and green and yellow push pins to sort of look at my genetics there. And what I'll do about those hives is I'll monitor them again in my December treatment. So, you know, bees are really responsive to solstice. The summer solstice is usually around June the 20th here, and that is really the cutoff for swarming. Bees just go from a high swarm impulse to almost a zero swarm impulse after that summer solstice. So I don't worry about swarming after the solstice. And the winter solstice seems to be the low brood production point of the year, because up until that winter solstice, the day length is getting shorter, and then after it, it's getting longer. And you know, this is amazing. Queens live in absolute darkness, but somehow they know the day length. So going into that winter solstice is generally the lowest brood point of the year, and you know, that's when mites are exposed and oxalic acid vaporization is most effective. So I'll probably do 3 treatments right around that winter solstice. And I think that'll clean up a lot of those hives that have got higher mite numbers. But that doesn't address the genetics in those hives. I don't like higher mite numbers. You know, my worst hives for mites are going to be the ones that I feed up in the spring and then break down and split and requeen and make nukes out of. So they'll probably come out of my production line and go into my bee production. You know, I've had good winter success the last few years, and I really think it comes down to culling weak hives in the fall. I only keep hives that I think are really viable, that you know, I think have the population and the resources to make it through winter and be strong in the spring. Anything else that's weak or has a failing queen, I try to get combined with a stronger hive, get that situation resolved. And then I'm cognizant of my mite levels going into the fall, and I heavily favor heavy hives in the fall. So if they're not heavy, if you don't tip up the back and think, oh, they're heavy, they're not heavy enough. So I've been feeding these hives, some of these late nukes like this one. I think I made this nuke up in late August, early September. So it's taken a lot of feed to get it to where it is. And I've probably put 5 or 6 gallons of syrup in it over the last month and a half. And it's getting to the point where I think it can probably make it, but we're also getting into the time of year where feeding syrup, you start having some temperature questions. So, you know, earlier this week we had highs in the 50s and lows in the 20s. And in that kind of weather, it's really past syrup feeding. So we're warming back up for a week or two. I'm hoping they'll take the rest of the syrup they've got down and get it cured out. But syrup is just about done regardless. Past this point, if I've got some hives I tip in winter that I think are too light, I'll just put some fondant on them. I used the Hive Alive fondant last year, and I like it. I like the packaging and the delivery system especially. I think it's a good product, but it's a really smart packaging system. It's easy to use. I really enjoyed using it. Well guys, it's mid-October right now, and most of these hives I won't open up again until February. You know, it's kind of strange to think about. I miss my bees during the winter. They get to be a lot of work at some times of year, and I get kind of tired of them. You know, April, May, June, July, you get weary of working them all the time and worrying about them all the time. And then in the winter, I want to go work them and it's too cold. You know if you crack a hive open, you're doing nothing but hurting it. So, very seasonal thing, beekeeping, very seasonal. So guys, fall management, be wary of your populations. You can check that on good flight weather days just by looking at the entrances. You know, it's not perfect, but it'll give you a good indicator if there's a problem or not. And besides that, just be cognizant of your mite levels. Be pretty sure of what you're doing and what you've got. And then food. Heavy hives make it through winter a lot easier than light ones do. You know, bees are kind of unpredictable sometimes. They do things contrary to what we want, but if you manage those 3 well, then they generally just take care of themselves. Well guys, good luck to all of your bees this winter. I hope they overwinter well, come out in the spring strong. I appreciate you watching. See you on the next one.